Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, hot Sunday, July the 6th. It is smoking hot out here, about 95 degrees. I've been outside working all day. Now 3 or so in the afternoon, hottest part of the day. Whew, man, oh man. And got the sacred fire going. And yesterday, I made the comment in a video about how I wanted to do a review. So a week ago today, I posted a video called Our Women Live in Fear. And it is by far the most viewed video I've ever posted. I'm just shocked by it. And it's also the most commented on, with well over 200 comments now as of earlier today. And I have read every comment. So yesterday I said I wanted to do a review of the comments and the video itself. And I woke up this morning with trepidation. Do I really want to open this Pandora's box again? You know? And then, so I get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I come outside, and I have some rituals that I do. And one of them is I do about an hour's worth of Qigong on my deck, which is, I'm going to show you. I want to get an idea here. So up there is my cabin, and at the top there's my lanai, as we would call it in Florida. And so it looks down from there onto my sacred fire pit here, my sacred space, through my yard. And so I was up there this morning with this trepidation about doing a video, a follow-up to Our Women Live in Fear. And as I was exercising, I was probably in the first, near the end of the first third. There's kind of like 3 different sections to it. A deer came out of the woods right here, right behind the camera, to this right here, and started eating the grass. And it was a young female whitetail, and she just started eating the grass, and I was watching her, and I went and got my camera and took a couple pictures. But what I did do instinctively, knowing how skittish deer can be, and they are all the time, I started to slow down my movement, my exercise routine. So there's, certain things with arms waving and squatting and breathing, and I just slowed everything down because I didn't want to startle the deer. And she looked up at me a couple times and did the old, deer in the headlight freeze, but she never ran away. And what was really sad about it was as she walked around right here, literally right outside of where I'm sitting, um, she had a bad leg. She was favoring her right rear leg. She couldn't put any weight on it. So she had injured it somehow. And then I really wanted to be gentle. And so I kept doing my exercises, but I just was cognizant that she was there. And eventually she just walked away. And the point is that she felt safe. She looked at me multiple times, but she always felt safe. And I took this as a sign that said, you have to do this video. You have to do this follow-up. So here we are. So I read through all the comments. Most of them are from women. There are some of them from men. And I want to tell you that, number one, all the comments are valid, in my opinion. All of the perspectives are valid. We are all unique expressions of God, so that when you're hearing my words and my voice, there's 5,000 people that watch the video, and there's 5,000 different perspectives. including the 16 of you that pressed the dislike down arrow. All right, gotta love it. But there are 5,000 different perspectives. So in the 200 comments, they are all valid perspectives. And I just really enjoyed going through them, and I learned some things from them. Most of them are from women. I'd say it's got to be 85% or more from women, based on the wording and the names that they use. Is the way I can gauge, is the only way I can gauge it. So let me give you an example of some of these. So there are some really, really nice comments. You're a good man. Thank you for being brave enough to put this message out there. As a woman, I appreciate your honesty. The info in your video is true. Another one, she said, he is right. When women would rather deal with bears in the woods than a man, it speaks volumes. And I have seen that meme floating around. Another one said, thank you for voicing this. I shared your video with my husband and my son. And she went on to say that she did that because she wanted her husband and her son to hear it from a man. And I was very flattered by that, which is basically the same comment that my neighbor who started this whole thing with her comment to me, where she told me that her husband doesn't get it. So we men, we have to wake up. Okay, we have to wake up, and it gets better than that. Another woman said, this is incredible, every spoken word. Wow, this really does make us poorly. High cortisol, pretending to be strong and not emotional, puts us in fight or flight, feel terrified, cannot sit in femininity because we cannot relax. That has been when I look back on my life, that's my experience, is women cannot relax. And I talked about this in some other videos. Women can really not relax. They really can't relax during sex. And it's women that are telling me this. When I listen to a Teal Swan or a Sarah Dawn Moore or Magda Kay, who all have great YouTube channels, and they talk about how women can't relax. And women need to relax. They need a lot of foreplay. They need to feel safe. These are women saying this. Okay. A lot of women expressing their experiences with men in fear. There's quite a few women who are telling their story, which is sad to read, but I'm glad they did. I will tell you that almost the first comment was obviously from a woman, and she just said, and so the title is, Are Women Live in Fear? And she said, no, we don't. And I went, oh, okay. And as the week went on, I kept thinking about that, going, well, there's about 150 women here who disagree with you. And it's the same thing that when I shared this with my men's group on Facebook, there's 2,300 men in this group. 3 men responded to my post with a thumb up. One of them responded with a comment, and I asked them, when I posted it, I said, watch the video and read the comments. Men, read the comments. And he didn't do that. He watched it with his wife. Kudos to him. But his wife disagrees with me. She doesn't live in fear. So there's 100. So, out of 200 comments, there's about 150 women who say they do live in fear. Okay. So anecdotal evidence, all valid perspectives. But the pendulum does swing heavily to one side. There must have been over 100 of you ladies just saying thank you in your own different ways, and you are welcome. All right. So one of the other things I wanted to say was that I am a big picture thinker. I look at themes and trends. I have to force myself into details. So the themes that I was getting out of all these comments was that I definitely struck a chord with a lot of women, all right, in bringing this subject up. And I want to continue to do that with the men out there. Excuse me while I feed the fire. Soft wood again, just like yesterday. There was a lot of comments from the heart, and the ladies, all the way to the point where some women just said they don't feel safe going out, um, and it's just a tragedy that we've come to this. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say really about that. It's just so sad that we have devolved, which is something that I voiced when I came back from Egypt and saw what some ancient civilization had built with the pyramids and the Colosseum of Memnon, etc. And I came back and said, we are devolving. And I think this is another example of how we are devolving. And it's been happening, yes, for thousands of years. And a couple of the men brought that up. All right. So I wanted to go take a couple of comments from the men. And there was a couple of you who brought politics into the situation and things like immigration policy. And quote, and yet women are the majority voters, allowing immigration of men from women-hating nations and religions. And another one said mass immigration, multiculturalism, weaponized feminism, and hostile institutions hell-bent on USA subversion are to blame. Gentlemen, number one, the video is not about placing blame. The concept is, we're not here to place blame. All right? Politics, religion, they are what they are. But we're not here to place blame. It's not the idea. Okay? They're not the idea. What is the idea? The idea is to look inside. Number one, men, look inside you. Okay? But I'm going to give you another idea that's a bigger idea at the end. All right? Now, here's another comment. Some men provided solutions to overcome, quote, the poison of fear, guilt, anger, resentment, hurt, or sadness, and then gave a laundry list of techniques to try to heal. Neuro-linguistic programming, Byron Katie's The Work, Teal Swan's completion process. There's like 8 of them in this list. That's not what this was about, gentlemen. All right? It's not what this is about. It's just, this is one of those, and I'm going to, one more. There was another one that did that too, another man. And guys, the way that comes across, all right, reading it in the comments, so let's put it into context. We're reading it in the comments. The way that comes across, the laundry list of things to try, different techniques, it comes across as we're trying to solve the problem. What's the old joke in relationship circles about the men? When a woman is expressing herself, how does the man react? He goes, what's the problem? All right, gentlemen, not everything is a problem that needs a solution. Okay? We have to understand this. Not everything is a problem that needs a solution. All right, so I'm going to go through this because I want to get to the key point that I want to make here. Somebody said the same goes for women. Lots of them start shouting and raising their voice. Well, there's not a lot of context there. I've said this many, many times. We do not want to match their emotional intensity. You just don't want to do that. All right. We have to be the calm in the storm. Somebody said, you're expressing a lot of feminine essence in this video. Yes, I am, dude. It's called empathy. Okay? It's called the compassionate warrior, the peaceful warrior. Okay? Yes, coming from the heart. I'm coming from my feminine. Okay? Yes. Guilty as charged. I had to laugh at that one. It was too funny. Somebody said, women are their own worst enemy. They refuse to take accountability for their own actions. All right, so let's play the victim. Whoever wrote that, if you're reading this, if you're watching this, go watch some of my Healing the Divine Masculine videos, and especially about shadow archetypes, and understand when the victim is talking. Okay? Understand when the victim is talking. Somebody wrote early on in the week, and I can't find the comment anymore. I think it's gone. It looks like it was deleted because I can't find it. He wrote, and I know it was a guy, he wrote that something, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that women walking around in fear is as normal as women walking around thinking about their diet. And I just about choked on that one because it was the classic, to me, the classic case of dismissiveness. The dismissiveness of the woman expressing herself. And I've been guilty of that in the past. I look back on it and I learn, okay, yep, I understand what I was doing there. But that's what I got out of the comments from the guys. Not all of them. Some of them were very well thought out. There was one this morning. We had a back and forth, a little bit back and forth this morning. That was very well thought out, and there was a couple of those. But some of the guys, you guys, you can't dismiss this. I got 150 women saying, we live in fear. You can't dismiss this. And here's the point I want to make. It's hot out here. Here is the biggest point I want to make out of this whole exploration. The women who are commenting are asking us men for one thing. Okay. What is that one thing? They want to be acknowledged. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want us, through our feminine, heartfelt empathy, to acknowledge their feelings. It doesn't mean we agree with them. We acknowledge them. That's the first thing they want. That's what I get out of this. Ladies, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Okay, please. But that's what I get. And this goes back to the 5 steps that I put together when I was talking in my Healing the Divine Masculine, when I was talking about shadow archetypes, how we all carry around these shadows. And how do we deal with the shadow, the part of ourselves that we don't particularly like? The first thing is to acknowledge it. This is right out of the 12-step program from AA. What's the first thing you do? Hi, my name is David. I'm an alcoholic. I acknowledge this within myself. Gentlemen, our women, a couple of ladies got triggered off of the our women. Our women want to be heard. They want their feelings acknowledged. Do you understand? If you do not, then you must learn how to understand that. Okay? That's what they're asking for. That when you look, I said I'm a big picture thinker. When I read those 150 comments from women, that's what I get. They want to be acknowledged. They don't want solutions to heal their traumas. Okay? They don't want to be dismissed. All right? They don't want you to argue it. They don't want you to debate it. They don't want you especially to ignore it, right? They don't want you to say, well, this is just the way it's always been. Bullshit. All right. I guarantee it wasn't like that in Lemuria and Atlantis. No, it hasn't always been like that. And it doesn't always have to be like that. All right. Each journey starts with the first step. And that's what we're here to do. Take the first step. Don't dismiss it just because it's been happening for thousands of years. And by the way, thousands of years ago, when the women were respected and they were considered the oracles, them and their intuition connected to the higher source, much more so than men, all right? It wasn't always like this. We have devolved, especially men. We have devolved, okay? That's what I get out of this, is once again, and we can take this a step further. We can take this to every soul that is walking the earth right now, deep down inside, he or she wants nothing more than to be loved, acknowledged, maybe hugged. Right? Some of them don't know it. Most of them probably don't know it because most people are not self-aware. But deep down inside, they want to be acknowledged, heard, seen, appreciated. So, gentlemen, have this discussion with your partner if you have one. Have this discussion. And if she says she doesn't live in fear, take her for her word for it. Take her word for it. It's okay, right? Just know that she's in the minority based on our anecdotal evidence of the last week, okay? And Teal Swan, and somebody else mentioned another, or some Allison, something. These women, and I'd like to actually ask this question to Sarah Dawn Moore too, although she works with men. But these women like Teal Swan they're working with a lot of people, a lot more people than I am. And they're coming up with this. You know, I'm just a messenger repeating the message here and putting my little sugar coating on it. But it's obviously something that is embedded in our society. We're not going to fix it or heal it or stop it tomorrow. But, gentlemen, we can have an influence on it tomorrow. And the way to do that is to acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. Just know that when you are talking to a woman, that it's possible that deep down inside she has some fear, not of you personally, but just of you because you're a man. Somebody made that comment too. There were women who made that comment. We just don't want men walking up to us, strange men walking up to, even if they're asking for directions. That's how much fear some of them are in. And yes, there are other aspects to that fear. It is not just fear of men. It's also some of you ladies said it's not just fear of the physicality, but it's also fear, obviously, of the emotional aspect. All right. Especially those, in my story, is my father came home when I was 2 years old and beat the shit out of my mother. And my mother divorced him immediately. This was 1960. And she raised us, and he was not allowed to see us. because she was afraid that he would end up beating me, because that's what his father did to him, to my father. My grandfather did it to my father and his two brothers, and my uncle did it to his wife and his boys. A lot of violence in my father's side of the family. And so my mother didn't want that to happen. And it's unfortunate that it has come to this. But there is also the emotional aspect of it too. And that's where we get into these manipulative games that we play. Um, you know, guilty as charged. A lot of it has to do with dismissiveness. Yeah, where we dismiss our female partner's feelings when she tries to express herself. And in my last relationship, I look back on it and I can see perfectly in my mind's eye when I did that, when I was dismissive or did not give her my full attention and my presence, my heartfelt presence, when she was trying to talk to me. And yes, I carry around a certain amount of guilt. Here we are 5 years later, and I still do carry around a certain amount of guilt, and I work on that every day, forgiving myself. It's only natural. We're here to experience all of this, and I talk about this in one of the last videos in Healing the Design Masculine, is about the deep dive into our emotions. That's what it's called. Our emotions, our women. That's the way I talk. Ladies, get used to it. Okay, I'm not being possessive. Our women is I got chastised for that one by one or two women. Our women is a shortcut for saying um, men, comma, our women live in fear. Because I'm speaking generally to the men. Okay, so I have to feed the fire again. So I hope everyone understands. Number one, I appreciate all the comments. Some of them were very deep. There's a couple of guys who went really deep in their comments, and I really appreciate it. I actually want to reread some of them. But gentlemen, I'll say it again. Okay, our women want to be acknowledged. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to feel safe. Read the comments. I was so disappointed in my men's group that people, the 2,300 men, and nobody dove into it. Nobody. I was very, very disappointed in that. That was the one place that I was hoping I would get some more traction on this subject. But something about that men's group, I don't know what it is. The guy that runs it has allowed me to post links to my YouTube videos. I've done it, I think, about 3 times now, and I never get any action. I never get any response. I don't get any traction in it at all. I don't know why. I guess they're just not ready. They joined this men's group. There's 2,300 people, and you'd think there would be a lot of talk, a lot of interaction, and there's virtually none. I try to generate some, and once in a while, the guys don't like that. I'm called the top contributor, and some of the guys just don't like it. I can't understand why they joined the group, but it is what it is. They are where they are on their path. We're all in a different place on the path, and I just have to accept it, which is one of the keys I said in my Healing the Divine Masculine video about that was called a deep dive into our emotions. when I got up to through the map of consciousness to acceptance. I said, this is where I want to be right now in my life, is I want to be in acceptance, acceptance of myself and acceptance of others. And I reminded myself that this week while I was reading all the comments of the video, Our Women Live in Fear. So I hope this has been helpful, an interesting exploration for you. I hope that I'm reading this right. I think I am, but it is my perspective, and my perspective is always valid for me. It may not be valid for you, and that's okay too, because it's vice versa. So this has been a wonderful exploration into this topic. I doubt I will go any farther with it right now, but who knows what tomorrow brings. So we will leave you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon with cosmic energy, earth energy, heart energy. Send loving heart energy out to all beings, all dimensions, all timelines, all realities. May this day be filled with compassion, loving kindness, and courage. Until next time, thank you. Thought I fixed the battery on this thing.